Welcome back to Zuko Builds. Today we're building this hexagon shelf. It's nice and dark on the outside, nice and natural on the inside. Let's get to building. Alright guys, the first thing I did was cut a 30-degree bevel at the end of my 1x6x8 board. And I went ahead and flipped the board so that the bevels match on either side. You can cut each board to any length that you want. I'm doing mine at about 8 inches. That's going to give me a good size hexagon shelf. Alright, now we're going to line our blade up with our mark, and that's going to cut at the short end of your bevel. Now that we have our board where we want it, I'm going to go ahead and set up a stop block since I'm cutting 6 of these. This is going to make repetition so much easier, guys. I highly recommend this rather than measuring out each cut. That's how things get a little inconsistent. With our first piece cut, all we have to do now is flip our board every time we cut, and this is going to make sure our bevels are matched on either end. Now let's cut our remaining 4 pieces. I'm going to go ahead and speed this up for you guys because this is all just repetition. If you've kept up so far, you should have 6 identical pieces. Now let's get into the sanding. As always guys, I'm not going to bore you with the sanding process. Just work your way through your grits, making sure everything's nice and smooth and even. And if you don't know what I'm doing with the pencil here, tune into tomorrow's Quick Tip Tuesday. I'll go through sanding with you. Once you have everything sanded buttery smooth, I go ahead and take a microfiber cloth and just wipe away any excess sawdust, and then I'll go over it with some compressed air. This makes sure that your surface is ready to be finished. So I'm finishing this shelf in 2 steps. The first step, I'm just rubbing boiled linseed oil on the inside with a nice clean cloth, and the second step will be to stain the outside a different color once everything's put together. I let these dry for about 15 minutes, and now I'm gonna arrange the boards the way that I want them, and this will be our final setup for our glue up. Once you have it all set up the way you want it and you made sure everything's nice and straight, we're gonna go ahead and use painter's tape to lay on the back of these. This is gonna allow us to move it all as one piece of wood rather than 6 different pieces. And just like that, it's time for the glue up. So you only want to glue one end of these. You don't want to glue both ends because that's just too much glue. You're going to be worrying about so much squeeze out. So just worry about one and don't forget the ends. This is my favorite part of the whole build, guys. Let's go ahead and roll this puppy up. And this is where the magic of painter's tape really shines bright like a diamond. Rihanna? Anybody? Okay, back to lo-fi. That should leave you with the perfect hexagon. Let's go ahead and let this glue cure for a few minutes, then we'll add our ratchet strap along with some 18 gauge brad nails. Here I'm just folding up a paper towel to put under the ratchet strap so it doesn't ruin my freaking shelf. Now I'm using my Ryobi Airstrike. This is an 18 gauge brad nailer. This is gonna really sink everything together. With the glue completely dry, I went ahead and took off the painter's tape along with the ratchet strap, and I'm just putting wood filler where the brad nails left holes. Make sure to check thoroughly, guys. You don't want to miss one. These little guys are ugly. Now that the wood filler has hardened a bit, I have 350 grit sandpaper wrapped around a sanding sponge and just lightly going over everything, rounding over any sort of sharp edge that there might be. This is going to make everything look nice and flush, along with buttery smooth. Just like before, I wiped away the excess sawdust with a microfiber towel, and now I'm just going over it with some compressed air. Now it's time for finish. I talked about this little trick I learned from Paul Sellers in my book stand build video. Go check that out if you haven't already. Since I left the inside its natural color, I wanted to go pretty dark for the outside, so I'm using espresso, but you guys can use whatever you want. Now that you've let that stain sit for a few minutes, let's go ahead and wipe the excess off with a clean rag. Hope you liked that build. Let me know if you thought this was easy. As always, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below. Let me know what you guys want to see. There's construction going on back there, so excuse the noise. See you guys next week.